أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون صدق الله العظيم. We continue with ayah number 183 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala addresses the believers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who have already brought iman, kutiba alaykumus siyam, fasting has been prescribed upon you, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, like it had been prescribed or enjoined upon those before you. Here Allah Tabaraka wa ta'ala introduces to us the aspect of Sawm, or fasting. With regards to Sawm, in its very literal meaning, it means al-imsak, and al-imsak means to refrain, to keep away. Here, with regards to fasting, to keep away from eating, drinking, to fulfill one's carnal desires from the time of Subh Sadiq, that is the time of Sehri, till the time of sunset, with the intention, and that is also very important, of the fast, then that will be regarded as Sawm. Here Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, when Allah Ta'ala enjoins upon us Sawm, Allah Ta'ala says, Kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, like it was prescribed, it was enjoined upon those before you. Ulama have stated from the time of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wassalam, all the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam were given the command of fasting. It was enjoined upon them. Perhaps the period of time of the fasting, or probably the mode of fasting, had been slightly different from Shariat to Shariat of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. But most certainly Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala had enjoined upon them the fasting. Here Allah makes mention of it. If you look at Salat, Namaz, it was enjoined upon the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam and the ummats of the past, and like that, Zakat and other obligations. But Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala does not make mention of it in the Quran Sharif when Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala speaks about the compulsion. The reason being is that here, because of fasting, a great sacrifice that has to take place. And because of this great sacrifice, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala took into consideration the fact that if Allah informs us that we are not the only people, or not the only ummah who had been given this command from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, it becomes somewhat easier for us to realize and understand that this is a process of purification. This is a process of our expression of our obedience and loyalty and our love to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, like how those before had done it. And hence here Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala makes mention, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may become conscious of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, you may become pious, you may acquire the quality of taqwa, the quality of piety, of abstinence, and all of that. Now, how that happens here is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has constituted two aspects to the human. One is our body and the physical body, and one is our ruh. When a person begins to fast and there's a deprivation of the body, then the ruh becomes stronger, its relationship with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala becomes stronger and stronger. And this creates within the person that taqwa, this creates within that person the enthusiasm to make the ibadat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And this is here really what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala wants from us. And this is that the gist of actually the fasting, that now the body becomes weaker, the person turns his direction towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then one becomes enthusiastic to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayyamam ma'dudat, for how long is this fasting? Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for a few numbered days. In other words, it is restricted, it is not every day of your life, it is a portion in the verses that come after that. Allah ta'ala then clarifies that Shahru Ramadan, that it is the month of Ramadan that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala has made compulsory this fasting. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ. Now here immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also discusses the concession that Allah would give, that whoever is ill, that person who becomes so sick, so ill, that he is unable to fast, it is not possible for him to fast, أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ, or a person is on a journey. Here the journey will refer to the Shari'i journey. فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ, then there will be the counting of other days. In other words, the person will keep the qada after the month of Ramadan has lapsed. So here Allah Ta'ala also shows His kindness. On the one hand the command, and then immediately thereafter the concession for those who have become so ill or sick, who is unable to keep the fast. For those who are traveling, the journey is arduous, the journey is difficult. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has relaxed the law, but however, there will have to be that qada. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. Now yesterday we discussed the aspect of abrogation, nullifying, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would nullify a rule. That in the initial stages, Sahaba used to say, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and other Sahaba used to say, that in the initial stages when Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala had commanded this ummah with the fast of the month of Ramadan, obviously it was something that was not practiced by people of age, the older ones especially. They had never fasted before in their lives. Now for the first time they are going to fast. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a further relaxation, that even though they were able to fast, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them at that particular time to give out the fidya in place of the fast, and then they would be relieved of that roza, they would be relieved of that fast. And then Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala abrogated, Allah ta'ala nullified, Allah ta'ala cancelled that rule. And now the rule will be, only if a person is so sick that that person is unable to fast, or the person knows that by fasting one's sickness is going to increase, or a person is on journey, then only did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the concession. However, in that concession, qada would have to be taking place. The next concession is this, that the person is so old, so weak, and that person knows that there is no recovery. In other words, the sickness is of such a nature, it is going to be perpetual, the person is not going to recover, he is not going to be able to keep fast at any other time of the year, then only that person will give out the fidya, and that fidya will equate to one sadaqatul fitr, and hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرُ اللَّهِ, that person that carries out on his own free will, or the person that carries out as an optional act. In other words, he is unable to fast, he knows he is not going to be able to fast, he gives out the sadaqah, the fidya, and he gives out even more for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that will be good for him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him. وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. But even at that time, when Allah Ta'ala had relaxed the rule, Allah Ta'ala says that the fact that وَأَن تَصُومُوا, and that you fast, خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, is still better for you, إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, if you know. So from here also we would realize a person is undertaking a journey, that the Shariat may have relaxed the rule for that individual, but then for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the barakah of the month of Ramadan, that person tries to keep that fast only for the sake of Allah. A person is ailing, is old, but he tries for the sake of Allah, then undoubtedly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward that individual in abundance. May Allah ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.